Today, preparations for our trip to Puerto Rico continue. The boat is a wreck. 2/3 of the crew are here, or I should say 3/4 of the crew. I should count myself in there. Anyway, right now we are working on some electronics. We have trouble with our Garmin wind instruments. Up on top of the mast, we have something like this. And obviously there's no propeller on this. But this is called a wind transducer, and this will show us which way the wind blows and all that good stuff. And anyway, we've been having trouble, so we don't know if it's the wire, or if it's the transducer, or if it's the black box underneath. So, in an extra bit of precaution, we are going to we're going to first take the wire up and see if the wire will work with the old transducer and the old box. If that works, then we know that we'll have 2 extras. And the people that are brave to do this, certainly not me, but there's Ian. Ian's going up the mast, and Rick is here as the safety officer. And I'm just going to document stuff for the pending lawsuit. Anyway, Ian, tell us about this climbing gear that we have, because this is new for me. This is not what we used. We had a bosun's chair the last time.
Yep. So this is the next generation of bosun's chairs. It's called an ATM Mast climber, and it's 2 pieces. This is the bosun's chair part of it, where you kind of sit into it, and it's probably hard to see, but this goes like that, and it bites the rope and allows you to slide up and back down under your own power, as opposed to the other ones which you have to be cranked up by somebody else. And the way that you these 2 pieces here, this is where your feet go, right there, and you just shimmy up kind of like that.
All right.
One locks in while you stand, and then you slide the other one up, and you sit down, that locks it back in. Put your feet up, like that, and then you reverse the process coming back down.
Now, Ian, what do we have for safety? When we did this with a regular bosun chair, we hoisted you up on one halyard and had a second for a safety.
Yep, and we're going to do that same thing today. It's not completely necessary, but it's a good idea. If you're by yourself, you would just sort of take the risk.
Yeah.
But we're gonna tie that one off to me, and then Rick will just tie me off as I go up every 5 feet or so.
Okay, very good.
Adjust the safety. So if this thing lets go for whatever reason, here, I'll get caught before I.
Oh, right, sure, okay.
It's not so much the fall; it's the sudden stop at the bottom.
Okay, good deal. All right, so we got Ian here. Ian, are you ready?
I am. I hope so.
All right.
It's a long way up.
How you doing, Rick?
Good.
You ready? All right, up and away.
Up and away, huh? All right, here we go.
So we got this rig at Harbor Freight. It was on sale. Are you thinking this is difficult, or you like the rig?
No, I like it actually. And the good thing is that when I get to the top, I can stand up in these.
And you'll be higher up.
Get up over the top, because on the bosun's chair,
right,
you're basically limited about where your chin is.
Gotcha.
So I'm working on the wind instrument there, which is way up on the top of the mast. So.
All right.
Hope I don't get stung by one of these yellow jackets.
Yes. I don't think they're allowed to go 50, 58, 59 feet up in the air. So more worky, less talky. In a display of awesome stupidity, Ian gave me his wallet before he went up.
And khakis.
And when he gets to the top, I think that maybe Rick and I will see what he has to offer in the wallet and decide whether we want, how quickly he should come down. And at the top of the mast, we have now determined that the transducer is fine and the black box is fine, but the cable that ran, it's supposed to be this Garmin Nexus cable, and apparently the cable that ran from the top of the mast to the bottom was too much for someone to do, so they somehow spliced it with some sort of Ray Marine previous thing that was there before or something like that. So what we're doing is now he is heat shrinking the old wire onto the new wire, and we're going to pull it through the mast and hopefully get it to the other end. And then when all that gets done, run that over. And we have special connector, watertight Nexus connectors, so that if we have to unstep the mast, we can cut the wire and put these connectors in. We have all that. We can do that if we need to, but since we don't need to do that now, we are going to run the wire straight to the black box, and that connects into the NEMA 2000 network, and everything hopefully will work. Okay, so I'm this is the third day back from work, and unfortunately I'm still waiting on my exhaust elbow. I don't know if I've told you about that or not, but that's a whole nother story, and I'll get into it if I haven't told you already. But I've got a lot of work done. That boat is still looking a wreck. Let me show you how awful it looks. But it's getting better all the time, so I'm feeling good about that. Oops. All right. There we go. So what am I doing? Well, I want to tell you a couple things that are happening. One is, maybe I can do this. Can I do this? Here we go. Does that work? You see all this stuff here on the floor? I've been slowly provisioning, or getting ready to put a whole bunch of canned goods and dry goods away into many of the compartments we have all around the bilge. And Island Packet's really good. We've got let me move this over here. I'm still learning. This gimbal thing's driving me crazy. I'll get it once. Anyway, we've got storage under the settee. We've got storage below it. We've got storage there, storage below it, storage there, and the same thing on the other side as well. So right now, I'm kind of cleaning out the previous owner's stuff and moving it to stuff like he had a bunch of cleaning supplies over there. And although we'll be using the cleaning supplies, we won't be using them on a daily basis like we will when we eat. So right now, I've pulled out all my dry goods and canned goods, and I'm just waiting for my buddy Rick and his wife to come over and pick me up, and we're going to Costco to get a whole bunch of other stuff. And this is all stuff. I mean, I have a large freezer and a large refrigerator, and hopefully we'll be eating well, and hopefully it won't be so rough that we'll be able to cook, and everything will be fine and wonderful. But if that doesn't happen, my backup plan is to have plenty of canned goods and dry goods, so that in the worst case scenario, we won't go hungry. We might, and you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to eat fresh stuff. I don't want to eat out of a can." I don't know, man. If you're good and you got a lot of good spices and stuff like that, you can make a lot of good stuff out of canned food. But anyway, it would be my dream that I'd be able to cook beans and rice and eat a diet of fish that we caught the whole way. But now that I've said that, we probably won't get one fish, or we'll get one that's edible anyway. So, what have I been doing for the last 2 days? Because I've been waiting for my exhaust elbow and I can't go anywhere and do anything. I've got some major projects out of the way. Our wind instrument, Garmin Wind, tells us how fast the wind blows, the direction it blows, and then it works and figures out the apparent wind speed and the true wind speed and all that sort of stuff. I had been having intermittent problems with that, and we had tried to. Apparently, when that got installed, the people that installed it didn't run a whole complete, what they call Nexus cable, from the top of the mast, 58 feet or 59 feet up, all the way down to the chart plotter, where the chart table. Underneath the chart table is the whole NEMA 2000 network hub and all that sort of stuff. So all the electronics are there. Anyway, somewhere in there, it appears as though they connected into the old Ray Marine's wiring and then went back to the Nexus cable, and somewhere in there we weren't able to figure out where the problem was, but the problem was that we would lose wind data intermittently, and then eventually we lost it altogether. So, because of an issue of time, I didn't have the time to change out things one at a time. There's 3 components of the system. There's the transducer, which is the thing that sticks on the top of the mast with a little whirly bird that spins around and moves around. That's one part. Then there's the Nexus cable that goes down, and then there's the box, a black box that sits on the wall, and that runs and puts its data into the network. So in an interest of saving time and also building up spares for hopefully one day going around the world, I bought a complete package. I mean, not the displays, but I mean, I bought a new transducer, the wire, and the black box. So we figured that when we climbed the mast, we would test everything there. If it was just the wire, we'd have 2 extra spares. If it wasn't, we would replace. We'd have to figure out, is it the black box that's broken or is it the transducer? We didn't think the black box would break because there aren't any moving parts in it or anything like that. But it was like $100 more, so we just got it just to be on the safe side because I'm running out of time. I keep talking about this exhaust elbow. I can't leave. I can't start the engine until I get that back. It's being fabricated in Florida, and we really want to, today is Saturday, we really want to be leaving around Wednesday so that we can head down to the Chesapeake. Rick and I are going to go down there and then leave the boat in Deltaville while I go back to work, and then come back, and then from there we'll sail it with a whole crew of 4 of us all the way to Puerto Rico. So anyway, we sent Ian up the mast, and Ian spent all day up there running wires, and he's going to kill me for sharing this with you. But for somebody that is so talented, remember, this guy flies wide-body planes for a living. He's amazing. But he had 2 wires that were up there. There was an old television wire, a coax cable for a television antenna, and we were going to, and I don't use that anymore, so we were going to cut that off, attach the new wire to that, and send it down the mast, and I'd pull it through, and it'd be really easy. Well, we got all set to do that, and he dropped the wire. So that one was out. So then we said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, there's the old wire that came down from the transducer that was up there. If we're replacing it with a new one, we can use that one. So he got that one all set, and that one dropped again, too. So so needless to say, we were not happy with our illustrious airplane captain. Anyway, he prevailed. We sent him some 250-pound handline monofilament with a whole bunch of weights on the end. Sent that down the mast, and Rick was able to pull it out of the bottom, and we pulled the line through, hooked it up, and it turned out, as we suspected, it was just the wire. So that was the only problem there. And then I did buy, it was funny, the whole package cost roughly, $5.99, like roughly with shipping and everything, tax and all that, about $600. But 2 little connectors, they're this big, 2 little connectors I wanted to get, so that when we cut, we'd have to cut the wire someday and put in order to pull the mast. I didn't want to do that now, because why cut the wire? It may be a year, it might be 2 or 3 years before I pull the mast. So before I cut the wire, I want to have the little ends. Anyway, those ends were $74. Couldn't believe it. Welcome to boat ownership, right? So anyway, we got that up, and the good news is it's working phenomenally. So that's one big project out of the way. It's working. It's doing great. The next problem I had was with my AIS. I have a Garmin AIS 800, which is a black box AIS. It once again goes into the network and talks to everybody and does all this stuff. And it's a transceiver. Anyway, the static data on the AIS was for the previous owner put it in with his MMSI number and his the name of his boat and all that sort of stuff. So you can't just go in there and change that. In fact, you have to go and take the box out and send it to Garmin. They flash it, so they wipe out the memory, and then they send it back to you. So we were able to get that back, and it took us 2 or 3 different cords to finally get a cord that actually worked right. But we got it so that we could put in the name Paquita, put in all its static data, how far away the bow is and where the antenna is compared to in relationship to the bow and the stern and the sides and that sort of stuff. And then the MMSI number and all that. So we put that in, and that's working phenomenally. So any of you guys that are tracking me, that were tracking me on the previous owner's name,
I don't know what happened to that. Who knows? But it's not with me anymore. So if you're going to look anymore, you can type in Paquita, and hopefully you'll be able to track us. Now, it is a Class B, and so the way that it stacks in priority, the commercial vessels pop up faster than mine does. So sometimes I'll go on a little jaunt somewhere, and somebody says, "Oh, you haven't moved in 3 days." Well, it's how many times it updates the Class B ones, because they're not. I mean, the recreational vessels don't have the priority that commercial vessels do. That makes sense. The good news is that it's putting out in real time, so this is just for the internet. It's not for meaning anybody. I'm cruising around. If you have another boat and you're looking there, you can see us in real time as well. I think it's how many, whether it transmits its information like every second or every 45 seconds or something stupid like that, but it's out there. Anyway, that's done. So that's another big project done. Then another thing that we did was I installed my marine antenna for the marine kit for my Iridium Go. Let me see if I can move this over here. Oh, here we go. Here's my Iridium Go. Haven't even taken the plastic off yet, but we've got it working, and Ian, my IT guy, has been playing with it and getting it all dialed in. This right here is the little teeny antenna wire that goes to a huge coax cable that I ran all the way back to the antenna that's sitting on the push pit on the back. And so I will be playing with that. We'll have what's good about that is we'll be able to have text messages. And for you guys, I don't know if I do it just for the patrons. I don't have any patrons. I haven't set up a Patreon thing for SV Paquita, but I might do it for, I don't know, I'll probably do it for everyone. Anyway, Iridium Go has a tracking page, and when we do this trip, anybody that wants to follow along, I might be able to send you a link so that you can follow us, and I think like every hour or something like that, it tells you how fast we're going, tells the weather there, and the course and direction that we're going and where we are. So that might be fun for you, if that's something that you guys want to follow along with. Oh, and then, now look, I'm not an alcoholic. I guess nobody who's an alcoholic really thinks they are, but anyway, I just haven't reached back to put all the liquor away in the liquor cabinet. So if you look over here, you can see I don't keep this at the chart table. It usually goes back there, but I haven't got back there because it's all kinds of room. You can see all this dust over here. You know what all this black dust is? Oops, wait down here. Here we go. All this black dust is because I just cut this out here, and this is my remote panel for my new Northern Lights generator that I'm so proud of, and it works so good, and I'm really happy with that. So those are some of the big projects that I've gotten done, and maybe I can show you some more stuff later. All right, so we're off to Costco and to get more stuff. Oh, and you know what? I didn't tell you about the provisioning. I have all these out, and the idea is that I got to write on top of all the cans. There's a big debate about whether you should rip the labels off because cockroaches in the tropics lay their eggs in there, and you know, on the paper and the glue. That's been like, I've heard that a million times, but there's a new school of thought that says that's an old wives' tale. Whether it is or not, we don't have cockroaches up here, at least not that I've never had them. But I still, because all of this is going to be going over here, I want to be able to look down and see what I have. So I got to write what everything is on the top of everything. And during with condensation and everything, if the labels come off, because I've written on the top of it, it won't be a mystery meal when I open it up. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm also having this out so that when I go to Costco and I get the rest of the dry goods provisioning done, I need to make a spreadsheet, and that's going to be, I think that's going to be really handy. I've seen a lot of other sailing channels that do that, but to really make an inventory of everything, and the reason being is that there's so many times I'll go looking for one thing and I'll say, oh my god, I had this other thing there, I could have used that last night. So that's the hope. And so if you're one of those people that are super organized, God bless you. You can come work for me. I'm trying to get there. It's a work in progress. Anyway, that's it for now. See you guys.